light out still. Like, we're working our way towards the solstice, so we are at the point in the summer where we get the most light at night, so there could be a sense that we, like, there's enough light now to see me, and it's possible that I will disappear into the darkness at some point in a little bit, but I hope not. I hope I have enough light on for you guys to be able to check it out. So I have a few things I'm going to use. I'm going to use a couple blocks tonight, and I am going to start with a pranayama bolster, which is what this long, skinny bolster is called. If you don't have one of these, I'm going to put it under my back. You can roll up a blanket, or use a couple blocks, or you can just lie down. Now, if you'd rather start in a different way, you can. You can do whatever you want. You're at your house. But if you want to follow along, the reason I'm going to do this is because it lets my shoulders kind of fall back around the edges of this pillow, or if I were a blanket that I folded up about the same size, it would give me the same impact. And so, like, I've spent a little bit of time kind of curled in on myself today, so this is going to give me a chance to kind of open up and relax and let my shoulders and my neck kind of come into a more harmonious relationship. So that's how I'm going to begin this whole process. Now, you can, if you wanted, if you don't have like something like that, but you got some blocks, you can put a block under your shoulder blades and then another block under your head, and it'll give you a similar effect. I like the block so that both shoulder blades rest on it, but some people like it to go more like kind of in the center of shoulder blades. So you might experiment with that as well. All right. Now I'm just going to leave my legs out straight, but once you're sort of lying down, oh, I got to move that pillow. Hold on. I'm not centered yet. Okay. So once you're lying down over the blanket or the pillow or the blocks, there is a point where you kind of experiment with the legs. Start with getting your shoulders into place. So I'm rolling to the side, tucking that shoulder blade in, and then doing it on the other side. And I do it 2 or 3 times, just because sometimes there's sticky tissue back there, and so it gives me a chance to really get the shoulder blades undone. Now, I've got this bolster about midway down my rib cage. I could take it all the way to the bottom of my rib cage, or I could, so I could go higher up this pillow, or I can go closer to it just being between my shoulder blades. That's where you would put the block, because it's smaller and it's hard, it's firm, and so then your shoulder blades have something to rest on. This is a little more forgiving on my spine bones, so it's okay if it goes a little lower. It doesn't poke my bones in the same way that like the hard edge of a block, that's really pokey on the spine and not very comfy. So you want that a little higher up so it rests on the shoulder blades. Now, if I took my arms straight out to the sides, then what would happen is I would get more of an emphasis in the pectoralis major muscle. So pec major is the big chest muscle that we might experience because it's close to the surface. If I bring my arms closer to the sides, not slam up against my side because that pulls my arm bone out of alignment, but just let my arm kind of find its natural home, then the emphasis is on the stabilizers in the shoulder, which is a littler muscle called pec minor, and the anterior deltoid and some other things as well. But in any case, all that being said, the placement of your arms is up to you. You want to get more emphasis in the chest muscles, go wider. You want this to be a little bit less spicy and more about just relaxing the posture back into your arms and shoulders. Then stay a little closer in. And then I just have my legs out straight, but you could put your feet together and have little butterfly wings, or you could put your feet out wide and kind of knock the knees together, or find kind of the place where the feet rest about hips distance apart. And so some people call this constructive rest position, and some people call it where you widen the feet out, let the knees knock, constructive rest. It depends on the document you consult. But in any case, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm into the straight legs. That's feeling kind of good tonight, so I'm going to go with that one. And then once I've gotten it settled, and it takes me usually about a minute and a half to be completely sure that I like where I've positioned myself. And then I can let go completely. And we're gonna let the face kind of become our focus. We're gonna start with the jaw. And essentially you're gonna start up here where the mandible connects, so right where the hinge is, so it's just below and in front of the ear. And just let that hinge get a little softer. So there's even a sense that the jaw kind of opens, or the teeth part a bit. And let the jaw almost go slack. It gets so relaxed. Tongue just relax into the bottom of the mouth. You get bonus points if you start to drool a little bit. Sometimes when we relax this area, the nerves stimulate a little salivatory response. And then feel the muscles all around the mouth, the lips particularly. Let your lips almost get pouty and fluffy and soft. So that almost like a little kind smile, a little sweet smile shows up on your mouth. And then we're going to come to the ears and the cheekbones. Let the ears, almost like they get a little wider apart and a little softer towards the ground. So the cheekbones kind of smooth out. Relax around the temples and the forehead. Let the socket of your eye get a little deeper. The eye itself moves back a bit. And then let a sense of kindness and gentleness come into your eyes. So that the countenance of our face is one of gentle compassion. Take 2 more breaths in that nice, sweet place. And you can take yourself, just kind of bring the knees in, roll to the side, let's slip out whatever's underneath us. Now, if you didn't have anything under there, then you're good. You just stay on your back. And everything will be just fine. And I like to pause for a moment and feel kind of the impression that's left behind. Quite often there's this really lovely sort of wideness that happens at the back of my skull and around my neck. That feels really lovely. And then often for me, it helps to kind of reach up with the arms so the shoulder blade comes out from underneath me a little bit, and then kind of rock on my upper back just to massage those muscles that live right between those shoulder blades. Oh, it feels good. I like to do do that with firmer objects, so the blocks or the pillow. The blanket doesn't usually cause me to have that sense of like, oh, something was under there. It's a little softer and nicer. But, you know, you might want to do it anyway. And then I've got these little windshield wipers going. And I'm going to turn these windshield wipers into a twist. Now, I'm going to do kind of a specific twist. So I'm going to take my legs over, and then I'm going to take this top leg and sort of wrap it like an eagle. So I need a little bit of structure there, so I'm going to put a block under my knee. And then rolling, now I'm going to go for the chest muscle. So I'm going to stretch my arm out so that, and roll my hip into this space I left behind. So I really get a good twist. I want a good twist. This might cause trouble for me in the enchiladas I ate not too long ago, but we'll see. But in any case, I've got this chest muscle stretch. I've got a little stretch over the over my hip, and then me and my digestive system are going to try to work things out here. And take a few deep breaths. Alright, I'm going to reach this leg all the way out, give it a big stretch, and then I'm going to pull that knee back in and come back to the center. Oh, that feels good. Alright. I'm going to shake everything. I do the little windshield wipers. Oh, that was a deep twist. So I need to give my back a chance to kind of recover. And what happens for me is it still sort of feels like it's twisting, and then about now, right? It takes about 30 seconds. But about now I'm feeling like, oh yeah, I'm back to normal. So that's the point where I know I can twist the other direction. So depending on you and your particular space limitations or range of motion, this might not be quite as spicy for you. It's quite spicy for me, actually. So when I prop the bottom leg up and I give myself this little bit of extra twisty room, oh, it's deep. So I'm going to reach out through this arm here, trying to find the right angle for my arm so I get a good chest stretch. And then I'm kind of letting my legs fall a little bit further over into the twist so I get a nice release in this outer hip. And again, I come back to a nice deep breath. It's fun to breathe deep in a twist. It feels really strange. Like it pulls and the breath goes into different, kind of like one side feels like it breathes a little deeper than the other side. It's very interesting. One more big breath. And if I had room, I would reach that leg out there. Since I don't have room, I'm not going to do that part. I'm just going to come back to the center and give myself a moment here to kind of feel that really deep twist. Gently unwind. Oh, that was nice. Okay, so I've started in a way to kind of refresh my spirit. Hopefully you guys feel similarly refreshed from your day. And then essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll right onto my belly. And then take this into some cobra. So my back is probably not going to be in the mood to do this shape right away. So I'm going to start with my hands fairly high up, pretty much just under the top of my shoulder. And I'm just going to do a little BB cobra. Just a little BB one. Now I don't push with my arms. I lift with my back muscles. And then with the arms, I'm just sustaining that top so I can get the rest of that big breath in there, okay? Scooching my hands back, seeing if I can get myself a little higher up off the floor as I go along. I'm definitely noticing that I ate enchiladas. So we'll do our best. Best not to eat too close to yoga class, y'all. Oh, just a word to the wise. All right, so we're going to do one more. And then I'm going to come to a sphinx because I pretty much loosened up my back so I can kind of hold this shape. Now, my elbows are on the floor a little bit tighter than shoulder distance apart and forward of my shoulder because that gives me the best sense that the shoulders can relax and it doesn't put doesn't lift up around my neck. If my arms are too close together, it feels a little restricted. If they're too wide apart, it feels like it collapses. So you just want to find the spot that's the best in between. Because we're going to drop the chin and give like a little side bend and then a little side bend to the neck. So just like left ear toward left shoulder, right ear towards right shoulder. And I'm just kind of going back and forth, just keeping my chin mostly level if I can. One more time. Now this is going to be more of a rotation, so I'm going to let the head kind of come a little bit more into a neutral position, and then rotate the chin up so I kind of look over my left shoulder, and rotate the chin up so I look over the right shoulder. And you might find there's a little restriction, like my right side's a little harder to twist that direction. So I'm just going to slow it down, make sure my neck is aligned so it's got some length to it. And I have my eyes closed, so it doesn't really matter how far I go around. You might want to use your eyes though, and turn your eyes into the twist as well. I'm just trying to feel the muscles that are tight and where I might be able to make a difference. Okay, when you're even on both sides, we're going to come down out of our Sphinx, give ourselves a little movement. And then I'm going to head back towards a child's pose. I'm going to pause kind of halfway into that child's pose and kind of do these little elbow cat shapes. Now if you want to do regular hands and knees cat shapes, I'm not going to stop you. But these are kind of nice too. So I can roll a little forward and then kind of press back a little bit towards child's pose and roll a little forward. And press back towards child's pose. I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm going to turn this into a downward dog. Now you could stay with a child's pose if you want to skip a down dog here and there. Now, so hands about shoulder distance apart or so, and then you might move the shoulder blades up and down a little, wrap the arms in and out a little, just to feel how those muscles work to sustain and support you. Shake any tension out of your neck and head. And then you might want to walk up and down with your feet. You're just kind of, I'm just feeling out that nice stretch in my calf muscles. Golly, that feels good. All right. So then you're going to walk your hands and feet together. All right, yogis? And once you get there, you can just hang upside down, or if you'd rather, you can come all the way to standing. We're going to do that in a second. I'm going to hang upside down for a moment, sort of prepare myself here. And then I'm going to come around. All right, so I'm wiggling my feet out kind of wide, and then I'm going to bend my knees and lift up about halfway, so that my back feels kind of level. Then I'm going to see if I can straighten my legs all the way out. And I'm going to bend the knees again and fold all the way in. See if I can straighten the legs up. Okay? Bend the knees about halfway up. Oh, I don't know, can I straighten up my legs? Maybe there. Bend the knees all the way in. Can I straighten my legs out there? That's a lot spicier. Right there. One more time. Lift up halfway. See if I can straighten out my legs. Bend the knees. And then I'm going to see, can I come into that fold? Now, coming back to that halfway mark, wiggle my feet in, and then I'm going to come all the way up to standing. And without smacking anything, I'm going to give myself a stretch. All right, yogis. Oh, sorry, buddies. Me and my plants are at odds with each other. All right. So, I'm going to correct some wardrobe malfunctions. Get a drink of water. and then find myself at the top of my mat. You might already be there. And then once you get here, we're going to assume mountain pose. Okay, so Tadasana, mountain pose. The idea here is that we want to get the body aligned so that it feels like from the spine out through the limbs, everything is aligned in the best possible posture, right? Best possible, given the circumstances. So I like to start with two places. One is I like to imagine that there is kind of like a string that goes all the way up through my spine and then up out of the top of my head that draws me up taller. So I want to be mindful of not lifting my chin, right? That makes my eyes feel like they're getting taller. And then I don't want to overly tuck my chin. So I want to feel that kind of length in the back of the neck that doesn't cause my chin to get out of level. Sometimes when I lengthen my body, there's a tendency to kind of push the rib cage forward. So again, the second part is I like to pay attention to this section between my top or bottom rib and the top of my pelvis, and just creating a little connection between those 2 points. So I'm stretching up the back and connecting in the front so that it feels like I'm as tall and even as I can get. A little lighter in the knees, a little lighter in the shoulders, and that feels like I'm standing as close to my perfect posture as I can get given the circumstances of my current biological arrangement. So take one more breath just from that place, and can you look out to the world in a kind way from here? And we're going to take a nice big breath and reach the arms up, and you might have to go around things, but maybe you can sweep your arms up, and then we're going to exhale and fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale and fold. Now, we're going to pick up the pick up the left leg, and you're going to step it all the way back behind you as far as you can go. And then we're going to drop it into a warrior one position. So I start with a lunge, and then swing that heel around so that it's still coming around towards the front of my mat, but my heel touches the ground. Okay? Now once I've got this warrior one position, I'm going to come up about halfway, pause right there, just see, can I stretch this mat between my 2 feet? And then I'm going to bow into this space over here on my left. Inhale, come up about halfway. Exhale, bow into this space. Inhale, come up about halfway. You can use blocks to help out if you like. Exhale, bow into this space. And then one more time. Now I'm going to use 2 blocks to create a little shoulder movement. You could instead wrap your arms behind your back and lace them together. That's going to do a different kind of shoulder movement. All right, so lift it up about halfway. Exhale, folding. I'm going to put my hands on blocks so there's a little bit of height there. And then I'm going to drop myself through. I think I need them to be a little taller so that it feels like my back goes into a little bit of a hyperextension. My arms get a little bit further behind me than they would otherwise. Still pressing the mat in 2 different directions through my feet. Nice solid base. Losing a little tension out of my neck as it shows up. Taking one more breath in this humble warrior. And then we're going to come up and step back into down dog. So I'm going to put my blocks on either side. Eventually I will get my feet off this very sticky surface and step back. All right, notice your right side, notice your left side. Now if you want to throw in a vinyasa here, this is where you can throw it in. Come forward into plank, lower yourself down, do a cobra or an up dog. Come on back to down dog, and we'll all join up together. So we're gonna take the right leg up. As you exhale, bring that knee in, curl up around it, stretch it back, step that foot forward, pause there, come up about halfway, bring your left foot up to meet your right foot. Again, fold, and then we're going to come all the way to standing. Giving it a big stretch with whatever limitations you got. All right, now, feeling how it landed, find your way into your mountain pose. And again, sort of memorizing this mountain right now. Can we find our way into a pose that feels so stable that it's easy to let ourselves be kind and vulnerable? Now, we're going to take a nice big breath. Give ourselves a stretch. Oh, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Now we're going to step back with the right foot. And again, once we get it all the way back here, we're going to turn it into a warrior one shape. Once that feels pretty good, we're going to come to the diagonal a little bit over here. Keep the legs nice and stable. Torso's on this diagonal. We're going to come up about halfway. And then exhale and fold in. Float up about halfway, maybe a little higher than halfway. Exhale, fold in. Come up about halfway. Trying to keep my legs very stable, lifting through this inner thigh here. Beautiful. Now, coming up halfway and either lacing your fingers together behind you or choosing the little block option. And then we're folding into this humble warrior, bowing forward. Keeping the legs steady. Front knee going forward. Back inner thigh lifting. Just keep the feet steady. Ooh, breathe. And 2 more breaths. All right, yogis. So we're going to bring ourselves around. Find our way back to mountain pose. Now this time all together, we're just going to pause for mountain for a moment, or sorry, mountain, downward dog. Downward dog pose. Why is this one not called mountain pose? One might ask. It looks more like a mountain. Take a nice deep breath. We're going to come forward. Now we're going to come all the way down to the belly. So you can take the knees down first, and then do chest and chin, or you can lower straight down. And then we're going to pause into the cobra. Okay, now, I've got a scorpion tail. We're going to take an inhale, lift into cobra, look over the left side, look over the right side, come on back down. All right, hands back an inch. Lift into cobra, left side, right side, down. Arms out wide. Oh, so you want like a little looseness to the shoulder. Lift up tall. And then right shoulder goes forward, look over the left. Come back. Left shoulder goes forward, look over the right. Come back. Come on down. Going back, either child's pose, or you can go directly to down dog. Sometimes for me it's nice, especially at night. Oh. Have that little child's pose touchstone. When you get back to down dog, we're going to take that left leg up, bring it in, stretch it back, bring it in, stretch it back, oh, bring it in, step it forward, pause, look up, right foot meets your left foot, come up halfway, exhale, fold. And we'll come all the way to standing. Give it a stretch. Oh. Little jiggle. And then we're going to find our way back into mountain pose. And while we get there, I'm going to tame this ridiculous nonsense. Okay. Now, find a spot where your eyes can rest. And again, the idea is that we're not too prickly with the eyes. When we're doing drishti, which is what this is called, which is that we sort of shut the other information out and we really focus the eyes. the eyes should be relatively softly focused. So one of the ways that people meditate is instead of closing the eyes, you just leave the eyes open like a little bit, and you just let them kind of gently fuzz the focus around you out in front. That's the same idea, except with the eyes all the way open, okay? So find a little spot that you can rest your gaze on, but then don't worry about that spot. Just let it get fuzzy. And then we're gonna sink our hips kind of in a chair kind of shape. We're gonna put all the weight into the right side. We're gonna pick the left side up, and we're gonna wrap that leg around once. Maybe you can hook the foot again and come into an eagle shape. I'm gonna put my left arm on the bottom, left leg on top, left arm on the bottom. That's usually the way I do it, but you can do it either way. Just remember how you do it, so you do it both, different on both sides. Opposite sides. Okay. And then see if you can keep that sort of softly fuzzy drishti. And then we're gonna release the arms, pick up this leg, step ourselves back. Now, we're gonna try to make this into a warrior two. So I was facing that way. Now I'm gonna let my hips kind of find a wider place, but I still want my knee to track forward. So if I overturn the hips, the leg will fall in. So try to find the place where it's just enough that you feel a little more open, but nice and solid in the legs. And you can have your leg almost parallel to the ground. Mine is not bent that deeply, but you can certainly do it deeper. Just go a little wider. Get a base that feels solid, your hip sockets feel okay. And then we're gonna take the shoulders kind of up, around and back, up, around and back. Bring the shoulder blades as far forward as you can, as far up as you can. Peel them around the back and bring them down. Okay. Now, as the shoulders come up, we're gonna bring the elbows up, and as the shoulder blades go down, extend your arms out. You can do palm up or palm down. It's a choice. Make the choice that's right for you. Coming back to reverse warrior and over to side angle. Now, we're gonna pause with this side angle pose. Press the foot into the ground, lift through the inner thigh. Give this side a little extra love. I like to rest my elbow just because it's a little bit easier to balance in a pose that is sometimes rather wobbly. But you can do it with your arms bound or your hand on the floor, anything that feels right to you. Go for the stretch in this kind of area. Maybe more in your back, maybe more in your front. Nice big breath. All right, so we're gonna come out of here and step back into down dog. Oh, as soon as I can get off the stickiness. All right. Now, you want a vinyasa? This is your chance, yogis. Go forward into plank. Ooh, lower down. Take a cobra or an upward dog. Come back to downward dog. Now we're all here together. We're gonna take the right leg up. Bring it in, give it a little curl. Stretch it back. Curl. Stretch it back, give it a big stretch. Oh, and step that foot forward. Pause. And then we're gonna bring this whole thing up. Come up halfway. Oh, can you feel the difference on your left and right sides? And then come all the way to standing. Oh, give it a big stretch. Oh. Whew. Yogis. Oh my gosh, that's fun. All right, feel the difference. Left side, right side. Oh. Now, I'm gonna find that mountain. This time for reals. Ribs, length, not too locked out. Find that drishti point. Let everything get a little softer. So it's like we kind of sink into chair. Weight shifts over into this left leg. Right leg's gonna wrap around once or maybe twice. Right arm on the bottom. And then you come come around with the arms. See if you can maintain that softly focused big gaze point. So Drishti is the first layer of our Pratyahara practice of kind of eliminating all the other stuff. Take one more breath, and then we're going to release, pick up that leg, step it back, and it might come into a warrior two shape immediately. Might take a couple of little jiggles. So wherever you landed, we're going to find our way in. And again, so last time I brought the shoulders forward first. This time I'm going to squeeze the shoulders back, roll up to the bottom, bring them forward. Bring them up, squeeze them to the back, to the bottom, bring them forward. Up, squeeze them back. So I think I'm going the other way. It's possible I'm doing the same thing twice, but it'll be all right. All right, one more time. Rolling it around. Okay, as my shoulder blades go down, I'm going to let those arms float up. Finding my little place, my home here. Coming back to reverse. Oh, keep that inner thigh lifting. Don't let it collapse. Work your front knee a little further forward if it's willing. And then we'll come over into side angle pose. Oh. And find your home. Even if your home is wobbly. There's lots of ways to kind of explore shape. You don't have to be static. Nice big breath. And we're going to come on back. Put both hands on the floor. Step ourselves back into down dog. We'll stay there. Take a moment. Can you feel the difference? Left and right in your body? Oh. So we're going to come forward into a plank. You can modify your plank. Lower down all the way your knees, chest, and chin. You can come into your cobra. All right, yogis. So we're going to slide the hands all the way back to the waist. We're pretty dang close. And then lift the chest and draw the collarbones wide and the elbows back. Lift the legs. Maybe yours go higher than mine. If I lift my legs too much, it makes my low back feel crappy. So I go for more lift in the upper body. Elbows back. 2 more breaths. Let your neck be long. Last one. And then come on back down. We're gonna give ourselves a little windshield wipers. You can go back to child's pose or go directly to that downward dog. Whatever feels like the right place. And then we'll come to down dog eventually. Take the left leg up. Bring it in, curl up. Stretch it back. Bring it in, curl up. Stretch it back. Curl up. Step it forward. Look up. Bring it on up. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. We're going to come all the way up to standing. And then give everything a little jiggle. Find your way up to the top. You might already be there. Mountain pose. Find that kindness in your face and in your mind and in your heart. So we're going to put all the weight into the right leg. We're going to pick the left leg up. I'm going to keep my arms by my sides You could put your arms straight up over your ears if you want to make it a little more challenging, or you can pray for balance. That's up to you. So we're going to shoot the leg back as we lean forward, maybe a little bit, maybe quite a lot, into a warrior three balance. Okay. I like the way this one makes my right butt cheek burn. Sometimes you fall, and then you do. You get right back up and try again. Even if you need a little help from a friend to get back on your feet, or foot, as the case may be. Last big breath. All right, so we're gonna step back. We're gonna try to catch this in a lunge. Oh. All right. So with the lunge, my hips point forward, and I'm on my tiptoes on the back foot, and then I'm letting my knee kind of find a home in the front, okay? Now for me, this is quite a lot of work, and just lifting the front of my pelvis and pressing back through my heel and forward through my knee is enough. If you want to add on, you can bend your left knee towards the ground, a little or a lot, just not all the way down, and then maybe find a little position with your arms. I'm going to take one more breath here. All right, so we're going to bring the arms back, and then push the hands forward and straightening out your front leg, fold over it. It's helpful to have blocks, especially if your hamstrings are tight. Now, when I fold over my front leg, my heel doesn't go all the way to the ground, and we're gonna kind of work with that. So I'm gonna bend my front knee and lift my heart forward, press down through my heel, and then try to straighten out my front leg. Bend my knee, bring my heart forward, okay? Press down through my heel, straighten out my leg. One more time like that. Bend the knee, lift the heart, let myself come forward, then press back through my heel, straighten out and see, can I get my heel to the ground? The answer might be a no. And then I have a choice of bringing my foot a little further forward to find that grounding, or just not bothering. Okay, both are possible choices. And then folding and manipulating the hips until it feels like it's just right for you. Allowing yourself to release tension from the neck. Maybe your forehead touches your shin bone. Maybe that's a dream that will never be realized. All right. So we're going to step back into down dog. So, you're going to find your way back. And again, you could decide that you're going to do this as a vinyasa. Come forward into plank. Fall, fall, lower down. It might be a fall, who knows. Come into your cobra, your upward dog. Come on back to down dog. And then we're going to take a nice big breath, lift the right leg up. Exhale, bring it in, curl up. Stretch it back. Bring it in, curl up. Stretch it back. Bring it in, curl up. Step that foot forward. Look up. Bring the left foot up to meet the right foot. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. And then we're going to come all the way to standing. And give it a big stretch. Give everything a shake. And then we're going to find our way into mountain pose. How's it going, yogis? You doing all right out there? Do you feel the difference between the right side and the left side? We did a bunch of stuff on one side, we haven't done the other side yet. I'm excited. So again, I'm going to find a spot for my eyes to kind of stare at. And then I might change the drishti as I get along here. But I'm going to pick up my leg. And then working with the arms the way you want to work with them, we're going to try to come to that warrior three. Okay. So I can already feel, because this hip for me is a little bit weaker, that I'm going to use, because I'm running out of juice, I'm going to use a block under my right hand so that I can really work the strength into this hip. Hips level, reach back through my right leg, reach forward through my breastbone. It's okay to give yourself a little assistance. Sometimes you need help from friends while you're getting stronger. Don't give up. One more breath. All right. So we're going to step all the way back, and again, we're going to try to make this into a high lunge. Woo. Okay. So again, your back leg might be able to go a little closer to the ground. You might be able to bend your knee. For me, it's enough to try to kind of maintain this balance. Bring the arms up. Give it a little extra length through my upper body. Woo. Finding the balance. 2 more breaths. Last one. Okay, so I'm going to bring my elbows back, push forward, fold down. And again, this might be where blocks come into your life if they weren't already there. We're going to straighten out the front leg and see how close to the ground the heel is willing to go. It might touch. You can back yourself up if you want a little more room, or you can leave it where it is. Bend your knee, lift your heart forward, press back through your heel, and then we're going to see if we can straighten the leg and bring the heel to the ground. Okay, come back up. I'm taking all the pressure off that back leg, okay? Let's straighten out my front leg. Press down through my heel. Ooh. Keep pressing back, bending the knee. Coming up onto the toes. Here we go. Heel down. Ooh, pressing that towards the floor as I straighten up. Bending the knee, coming up on the toes. Now I'm going to go for all the way to the floor, so I'm going to come in just a little notch. So I'm going to press down through my heel, straighten out my front leg, and I'm hoping I'll find the floor. I might need a little bit wider base. Okay. And so just pausing with that stretch. Ooh. Feel all the little nuances. Don't rip your hamstrings out of your butt, yogis. Bent knee might be the better part of valor here, or even adjusting this back heel. All right, so we're going to step ourselves back to down dog. Now, I don't know if you noticed this little trick with down dog that I did, but I'm going to point it out. Okay, so I've got the block. These are sturdy blocks, but I've got them up on the 6-inch edge, so I've got a little 6-inch height, and then I'm stepping back. Now, you could throw a vinyasa in here. I'm just going to hold dog because this puts me in a higher position with my shoulders. So you throw your vinyasa in, come forward into plank, lower down to your up dog, your down dog. Now let's see what happens when I do my left leg, okay? So holding the blocks, I'm going to take this left leg up, bring it in, curl up, stretch back, bring it in, curl up, stretch back, bring it in. Now stepping this foot forward, I can bring my foot a heck of a lot farther forward when my hands are on the blocks than I can when my hands are on the floor. So if you, stepping forward, are like me, and it's difficult to get to the top, that is one strategy that you can use. Come up halfway, fold, and then we're going to come into a squat. Now, I'm going to wiggle my feet out kind of wide and turn my toes out. And we're taking the hips as low as they'll go. And you could build like a little block tower to sit on, a little throne for yourself if you want to. I'm going to leave mine up front and just see how far in there my hips will let me go. And then I can use them for my arms. Okay, now some people can get so close to the ground that their butt practically touches the earth. I am not one of those people. But if you are, cool. Just see how far in it'll go for you. You might be way up high. It might look more like chair pose. Take one more breath. All right, so we're going to straighten out the legs. Give them a shake. And then we're going to step ourselves back. Now, I'm going to do a low lunge. Right leg is going to be forward, left leg is going to be back. If you would rather, you can do a higher lunge if for whatever reason having your knee on the ground is tricky. But we're going to stay a while. So just be mindful of that. You might want to keep your hands low, okay? So stepping my left foot back, and then I'm going to bring my left knee to the ground. And if it feels like you would benefit from some extra padding, you could stick a little blanket underneath that knee. I'm on a pretty soft surface, generally I find it's okay. Okay, so here we are, hands on the blocks. I could just as easily have my hand on my hip or on my leg, or have your arms overhead. We're going to back the hips up and then come forward again until it feels like that's enough stretch. And then back the hips up and come forward again. And then one more time, we're going to back the hips up. And then I'm going to come forward, and then I'm going to stay forward for a bit. So again, it's comfortable for me to come to the diagonal here. And I'm going to put my elbows on these blocks and see what happens. If it feels like it's too spicy, you back off. If it feels kind of good, you might let yourself move a little further forward. It really is about you and the muscle and the joints and how your body responds. Can you keep a sense of kindness in your eyes while you hold this pose? I'm going to take one more breath. And we're going to back the hips up nice and slow. And I'm going to start over the top of my leg here so that the focus is on this outer part of my hamstrings. Picking the toes up. Now for me, this is enough. I have enough sensation here, I don't need more. But if you need more, you can move towards a full front to back splits. I don't recommend it, but I'm not at your house, so you decide what to do. So that would be the full extreme version of what we're doing right now. I'm going to do one more breath. This is kind of outer hamstring love. And then once again, I'm going to come to this little diagonal, and I'm going to let myself fold in with the straighter leg. Now this brings the stretch for me around to these inner part of my hamstrings, and that's a little different. You might still be in the full splits. I don't know what you did at your house. But if you're doing this with me, see if you like it. Now, we're going to essentially just sit down. So the way that I'm going to work this is I'm going to bring this left knee like a little bit around. So I'm kind of pivoting it so that my foot sort of goes back more at a diagonal than it goes straight back. And then bringing my right leg a little bit closer to me so I have a little bit of room, and using my blocks, I'm essentially going to try to put my butt right on the floor. This mat is very sticky, and sometimes it bites me. So this thigh, if it will go, this mat's going to fight. Fight, 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 fight. So if it will go, then you can bring the leg around behind, and the foot can come as far around behind as it goes. So this is the gate shape, the gate pose. This is too spicy. You can bring this leg all the way around and put it into this shape instead, okay? Oh. Honor your knee. What does your knee say is okay? And the hip. Okay, so we're gonna come into a side bend here. So I'm going over this tall leg, and some people can grab their foot with one or both hands. You don't have to grab your foot. No one gets a medal. So you just find your way into a stretch that feels good to you. I'm going to back up a little bit here and use my blocks, because that's feeling kind of nice. Now take one more big breath, and then we're going to come out of this shape. Now to get out of it, I'm going to lean all the way forward and unwind my leg. And then I'm just going to take a second, kind of rinse this out, wipe the sweat out of my eyeballs, and get a drink of water. Now, while I'm simultaneously doing that, I'm also noticing, does the left and the right side feel pretty good? How does my spine feel? All the little bits and pieces that kind of give me a check-in, right? We're building this tool that we have called interoception, where we're feeling in the inner part of the body. Now, yogis, I have fantastic news. We're going to do the other side. So, if you would like to throw in a vinyasa, all you got to do is go to down dog. Go to plank, lower down, do an up dog, go back to down dog. You could do it that way. Or you could do what I'm going to do, which is to come to all fours and get right into the other lunge on the other side, making it so my mat won't bite me first. So while you guys do your vinyasa, and those of you that are ready to join me, all right, so right leg left, leg is forward, right leg is back. So you're going to wind up with your left leg forward and your right leg in this lungy shape, all right? So again, you can decide how you want to place yourself for the lunge. I want this first version to be very lined up with the front. So I'm going to use my blocks here, move my hip forward, and then just bring the hip back a little bit. Bring the hip forward, and I'm feeling the whole range of motion there. What is the stretch like? And then bring it back, okay? And again, you might need more padding, or you might do this a little differently, so you and your knee get along. Okay, then when we come forward, I'm going to find the spot that feels pretty good. Come to the diagonal here, and lower myself onto my elbows. You may not want to go to your elbows, yogis. Can you bring that kindness to your face while you simultaneously feel your hips? Take one more big breath. And then we're going to back this thing up. And again, I'm going to come to this kind of just over the legs. So I'm going to come back away from the diagonal, more directly over my legs. So again, I'm feeling this in this outer portion of my hamstring muscles. Again, you might need to be a little further out with your front leg. If you feel something in the back of your thigh, though, you probably don't need to. Be kind. Take care of yourselves out there, yogis. We're practicing without adult supervision. Take one more big breath. All right, so then I'm gonna move myself to this diagonal. Again, leaving my leg out here straight so that I shift that stretch to these two inner hamstring muscles. Ooh, and that feels so good to me. It's like I've been neglecting them forever. So it's nice to get in touch. All right, we're going to turn this into the deer. So again, I'm going to kind of bring myself to a diagonal, and then using my blocks for support, I'm going to sit myself down. Oh, that was a little easier because the mat was not biting so hard. Okay, so again, if this leg will come further behind you, you can certainly play with that. And then we'll take a side stretch here. You can change that leg entirely, yogis. One more big breath, and then I'm going to come out. I'm going to lean a little bit towards the back of this so I can pick that leg up and get it out of that position, and then give it a shake out, yogis. Oh, that feels good. Oh, I like this moment, right, where you've undone a pose that was pretty spicy, pretty interesting, and then you notice, because usually for me, if I did it okay and I didn't push too hard, there's this kind of sense of like, in my whole body. Sometimes more so on one side because that was the side I did. But usually I wind up with this really lovely, just kind of well-being. And that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for a feeling of steadiness and a feeling of well-being from our poses. Now, that being said, this one can get kind of spicy. So I'm going to show you a couple of different versions. We're going to either do the cow face pose. Now, one of the easier ways to do cow face is to actually come up onto your hands and knees and then put one knee in front of the other and then sit down, okay? And if your hips are inclined to do it, that kind of gets you nicely stacked up. I can stick at least one small furry creature under this butt cheek. So my hips are not as inclined to do this unless I elevate them, okay? So I'm gonna do this version, which is a square pose, similar to the cow face. It's just now my shins are over top of each other. And I'm even gonna take it one step further and take my block right in front of the shin and stick my ankle out there so it doesn't poke onto my tender little inner thigh. And for some of you, it'll be nice actually to go quite farther out. And you might need one more support under this side as well, okay? So you have to fiddle with your props. A blanket would be better in that case than a block, I think. But you'll fiddle. Now, what we're aiming for is for a sensation in this outer part of the hip. And for some people, sitting cross-legged is all that'll be required. So you want to just sit cross-legged. You can try it that way as well. Sit up tall. If you already feel stuff, don't go further. If you don't feel stuff, lean into it, okay? And then we're gonna let the arms release out in front, or you can put your left arm underneath your right arm and let them kind of hang the shoulders, or you can do the more traditional left hand behind your back, reach back, grab hold with your right hand, so you go behind your back, okay? So any of the different arm positions would work. It's just a shoulder open. It's an opportunity to play with your shoulders. And for me, I like the way it feels to let the elbows kind of hang here when they're wrapped around each other. Ooh. I'm going to take about 2 more deep breaths. Now, release your arms. Inhale yourself up to a tall position. Now, whatever you've done with your legs, whatever leg is on top, that's the direction we're going to turn the chest, okay? So sit up tall. Don't go anywhere yet because you need your spine to come back to neutral. And then we're going to start with just the bottom of the, just the bottom part, just the bottom of the spine. So keep your breastbone and your chin lined up with each other and just try to twist your belly button over to your whatever top leg. Mine's my left leg, okay? So then we're going to do the shoulders. So I'm going to take my left shoulder back and my right shoulder forward to get the shoulder girdle turned. I'm still lined up over my breastbone with my head. I'm going to take one more chance to get nice and tall, and then I'm going to turn my head as far to the left as I can turn it, and maybe one more time with my shoulder blades to create a little more space. Now don't drag your low back into too much of a twist. Just let it have whatever it was willing to take up. Don't be too forceful with your arms, okay? The spine will handle its own business. It doesn't need help from your arms. Sit up nice and tall. Your arms are for food acquisition and kindness. Your spine is for twisting, okay? Just remember that. Don't use your arms to do the job that your spine is supposed to do. They have other jobs. 2 more big breaths. And then we're gonna unwind, head, upper back, lower back, lean back, unwind your legs. Take a moment. Oh, give it all a rinse. Yogis. Oh, yogis, yogis. I'm glad you're here with me, yogis. It's been an interesting day. All right, so we're gonna take the bottom leg and put that on top. So either you come to the hands and knees and slip the other leg. Ooh, I gotta put this leg on top. Okay, or you put your other leg up on top, or you do this square version, or whatever version you did last time, just do it with the other leg on top. So I had my left leg on top last time, so now it's going to be all about my right leg. Let's go with softer. Okay. So again, finding the position that's right for you, and one side might be a little different than the other. For me, my right hip is way stronger, and as a result, also tighter. So I'm leaning in just the right amount. Maybe not as far as I did last time. Maybe with a little bit more support. Again, what we're aiming for really with yoga is not so much that we're completely symmetrical, but just that we're aware of the little differences, and we might take a little extra care in some places for the body to give ourselves that sense of steadiness and ease, right? Steadiness and well-being. Every pose should make us feel steady and like we're being cared for. Yep, even those ones. Even the ones that are super hard and super tricky. We might be caring for our ego sometimes, but that's okay too. That's a part of us. Taking one more big breath here. Okay, you're going to inhale your way up. And then again, we're going to execute a twist here. So we're going to start with the lower body. Keep the chin lined up with your breastbone for now. We're going to just turn that lower part of the back, okay? Then it's all about my shoulders. So I'm going to rotate right shoulder back, left shoulder forward. Then I'm going to turn my head, and then I might see, can I do the shoulders one more time? And again, my arms land, and then I hang on, but I'm not pulling myself around with my arms, right? I want the arms to be for stability, and let my spine do the work of the twist, because it does a beautiful job all by itself. It's really lovely. Right shoulder, that right shoulder. I can feel some stickiness. Sometimes I use my yoga pose as an opportunity to unwind. Take 2 more breaths. All right, here we go. We're going to unwind the head. We're going to unwind the spine. We're going to unwind the legs. And then give everything a rinse. Now we're going to do one more pose before Shavasana. And I just like to make, if I've done something that's asymmetrical, I like to make one last symmetrical shape. Now, you can do this on your back, or you can do this as a forward bend. So if you want to do it on your back, you just put your legs together in this butterfly and lay down. If you want to do it as a forward bend, which I'm inclined to do, because they make me feel calmer, you can come over into a forward bend. And I'm keeping this fairly loose. I'm not pulling my feet in tight. I'm letting my muscles get a little more on the yin side than the yang side here. You can be more energetic. Take a big breath. We're going to come up about halfway. Now, if you're facing the right direction on your mat, you can just roll down into Shavasana. I got to turn 90 degrees, but just depends on how you're facing. Now, I am going to put that pillow that I had under my upper back, under my legs, and I'm going to put a little blanket under my head so that I have a little bit of softness. And I'm going to show you guys this really awesome thing with the blanket. It might be too hot to do this tonight. But if you like a little bit of darkness and a little bit of kind of sound, like eliminating some sound, this is really lovely. So the way that you'll position the blanket for your head is you'll fold it so that it's sort of folded in layers. And I like the layers that are the loosest layers to be on top. Your neck, the rolled part is going to go under your neck, and the loose parts are going to go out so they can go around your head, okay? So those are the loose bits, those are up on top, and I have the most loose pieces on the very tippy top. Okay. Then I'm going to lie down, putting this guy under my legs before I get too far. Okay. Now I'll have to position my neck just right, but it'll just take a second to finagle that into place. So I don't want my shoulders resting on the blanket. I want it right under my neck. So what I'm going to do is pick it up and cup the back of my skull, okay? And then I'm going to put my skull down. Now I have a little wrinkle, so I've got to get rid of the wrinkle. And then I'm going to do that again. And what that does for me is it's really subtle, but it pulls the fascia in this area where the cranial nerves are, and it can release a little bit of tension there. Now, I'm going to take just the very tippy top layer of this blanket, okay? And I'm going to tuck this guy on the side. So I kind of pull the side up like I'm going to, hospital quarter mattress or something. And then I'm just going to tuck in around my neck so that my neck has this little feeling of support. And then I'm going to roll this thing all around the edges of my head. Okay, now on the other side, I'm going to pull the corner up, so like I'm going to make a little hospital corner, but then I'm just going to tuck in around my neck and then curl the blanket in. And essentially what I've done is I've just made a little blanket halo. Oh, and one of the teachers that taught me this calls it a blanket pod. So that's that layer. Then I take the next layer, and that one I'm going to pull over and then just tuck around one time on either side. And sometimes that layer is long enough that it actually makes a little bit of an eye covering. And it will tonight if I just give it a little tuck. Okay. And again, this is pretty toasty for summer. But if you're in an air-conditioned house, it might feel really nice. And so, I like the darkness. That's my primary purpose here in aligning myself with this shape. Is to get my eyes really dark. Okay. And then just to juggle into place a little and let yourself relax completely. Taking a deep sigh. Oh, can be really nice. Unwind your mouth. Let your face relax. Everything relax around it. tempted to just turn out the light and go right to sleep. Since I'm laying on my living room floor, I'm going to take a moment and notice my breath. Take a few deeper breaths. Let go with a big deep. Give your fingers and toes a wiggle. Stretch them out. Give your wrist and ankles a little movement. Oh, that feels so nice. I'm going to unwind my head pod. And then I'm going to stretch. Give myself a hug. It's always good to hug your favorite yogi every day, yogis. And then roll to your side, or you can rock yourself up if you're more inclined to do that. Oh. So thanks for coming out and getting on the mat with me tonight. Whatever happens. Welcome to the Thursday night we do whatever Candy wants to do night. Which really arguably is what's happening every night around here these days. Let's take a nice big breath together. Big inhale. Big exhale, sigh. Namaste. Have a great night.